Okay, I'll just give it another second. We've got a few people joining. Okay. Right, we'll make a start. We've got 55 people joining us here today. So thank you all for making yourselves available to come along for this information session for the Peer Cadet Program for the 2026 to 2027 intake. Go to the next slide, please, Jacinta. Thank you. So also just before we do start, I'll just let you know this session is being recorded, but if you are an attendee, you're not on camera or anything. So just our presenters today from the Peer Cadet Program will be on camera for that recording. Also, just to let you know that we do have the chat function there, so that will be moderated today. If you have any questions, look, hopefully will be answered throughout the presentation. But if there is anything there, pop it in and we will, if we can't sort of answer it in the moment, we will put together a bit of a Q&A fact sheet afterwards, and everybody who has attended today or registered for the session today will get an email with the question and answers to that. So I would like to start by throwing over to Lauren from NEMI, who's going to lead us in an acknowledgement of country. Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start off our information session today by just acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which I'm on, which is the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. And I'd like to extend this acknowledgement to the various countries on which our attendees are joining from today. And I want to pay my respect to First Nations elders and extend a warm welcome to all First Nations people in attendance with us today. I acknowledge the importance of connection to country, and I'm proud to work and live on Indigenous land that has over 65,000 years of stewardship, wisdom, and storytelling woven into its fabric. Within this history, though, there is the dark truth of colonization, as well as the strengths of First Nations communities and their resistance against attempted erasure. Peer work is inherently anti-oppressive, and it stems from human rights movements that are rooted in our collective liberation. And so that's why we can't talk about peer work without acknowledging the wisdom and resilience of First Nations peoples. And just to close, sovereignty was never ceded. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land where I am.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Lauren. I'd also like to acknowledge the lived and living experience in this space today. So we value the expertise and leadership of people with personal lived and living experience of mental health challenges and alcohol and other drug use, and families and carers as we work together to influence and transform the services and systems within which we work. Thank you. So the session today, just a quick overview. We've scheduled, I think, maybe a sort of an hour and a half, but I think we'll probably be a bit shorter than that today. Today we'll cover, so LEC, you might have seen that, Lived Experience Career Compass. I'll give a little bit of an overview of who we are. And then we're going to talk about peer work and what peer work is. Then the Peer Cadet Program, so what it offers and what you can expect to get from your cadetship. Eligibility requirements, things to consider before you apply for a cadetship. And then we will finally talk about the application process. So as I mentioned before, we do have a Q&A happening. So in the chat, that'll be moderated by Snezana, who's from CoHealth. But anything there that can't be answered, we'll just take that on notice and we'll get some answers for you and sent out to all registered participants. Thanks, Jacinta. Okay, so the Lived Experience Career Compass. Who are we? So Lived Experience Career Compass is run by Mind Australia. So you may have heard of Mind Australia, community mental health organisation. The Career Compass looks after 3 early career programs in the lived and living experience workforce sector. So we look after the Peer Cadet Program, which is what we're here to talk about today. We also oversee the Pilot Placement Program, which is a program some of you might have gone through to help complete your placement component of your Cert 4, if you've sort of already started or may know about it from that. But yeah, that's to support students doing the Cert 4 mental health peer work to complete the placement component, to help sort of finish that that certificate so they can get into the workforce. We also have the locals early career program. So you also may know of the local mental health and wellbeing centres that are sort of have been popping up around the state. So that is a graduate program. So once you've completed your certificate in mental health peer work, you can apply for, it's a paid position for 12 months, where you learn heaps and heaps of stuff in a multidisciplinary, multi-organisational space. So it's a great opportunity. My name is Lisa Williams. I use she, her pronouns, and my job title is the Lived Experience Early Career Compass Lead. I have been working with Mind Australia for 7 years now. I am in a designated lived experience role, so and have been in those roles for a number of years now. Very grateful to be able to work in this space, and from that perspective. We also have Izzy. Izzy is on a beach in Bali at the moment, so loving that for her. She uses she, her pronouns, and her job title is Lived Experience Project Officer. If you get involved in the Peer Cadet Program, you may hear from Izzy, coordinating communities of practice and sorts and events and orientations and things like that. And we also have Jacinta. Jacinta, you'll see. Hi, Jacinta, waving away there. Jacinta is our Lived Experience Project Administration Officer, and again, all over, all the admin stuff, all the coordination stuff. So again, if you are become part of this program, you'll definitely hear from Jacinta as well. Yeah. Down the bottom there, I've also just got our website. So you'll see there we have a web page as part of the Career Compass to talk about the Peer Cadet program. So what that will sort of give you is some information about the specific organisations that are offering cadetships. So definitely worth jumping on and having a look at that. Today we won't be talking about individual organisations as such. We'll be talking about the program as a whole. Thank you, Jacinta. So we have 9 different community organisations who offer a cadetship. And each one of those organisations, we have a lead from there today who look after the Peer Cadet program. So we have got Susanna from Co-House, Emma from Irma, Kylie can't make it today, but also Kylie is from Irma too. EDV, we've got Ruth, who'll be talking in just a little bit. Lauren, who we've already heard from with that beautiful acknowledgement from Near My National. Beck from Ballarat Community Health, unable to be here today, but looks after Peer Cadetship at Ballarat Community Health. We've got Mike and Chloe from, can we take that off, Jacinta? Thank you. Thank you. We've got Mike and Chloe from Wellways, and from each we have Naomi, Tim from Mind, so works at Mind, where the Career Compass is located as well, and Jasmine, the lovely Jasmine from Uniting, who will also be talking in just a little bit. So thank you, Jacinta. Excellent. So I am going to pass over to Mike and maybe Chloe as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, to have a little chat about what peer work is, just to start us off. Thank you.
Thanks heaps, Lisa. Yes, as Lisa mentioned, I'm Mike from Wellways, he, him pronouns. Yeah, really excited to talk about peer work and really excited to see, I can't see your faces, but I can see there's quite a few people here looking at peer work and the cadetship, which gets me excited because the cadetship was definitely my road in to become a peer worker. So yeah, really excited to talk a bit of peer work with you all briefly. So peer work, I think the best place to start is with mutuality. What does that actually mean and look like? And really, how I try and talk about mutuality is it's bringing it back to just two people navigating life and forming and having different worldviews, promoting hope and growth for both people in that connection. So neither are really experts or fixers. I think is something really important. Part of peer work is to not sort of fall into that fixing mindset that I am here to fix you in any capacity. I think it's really honouring people's experience that they often hold the keys and they're the experts in their own sort of experiences. And I think with mutuality as a peer worker and doing peer work, what's required is just the acknowledgement that we are always learning. We are never going to get off this, train of just growing and learning more. So I think having that open mind and open hand around, well, what am I learning here too? I think is a really big part of it, and being able to explore and discover together is a big part of what we do as peer workers. Peer work is an alternative to traditional service relationships. It's not an add-on or this, and it is quite different to a lot of historical ways of working in the system. And I think at the heart of that as well is, it really well suits people that want to really explore for themselves where they want to go, what they want that to look like. And I think what's different is some people actually really want the expert to come and tell them what to do. And that's great. But that's not really what peer work is. So there's it's an alternative to those options there. Something else important to note around peer work is there are different peer workers, there's different lenses. One obviously being consumer, so your own experiences of service use or mental health challenges over the years. And then there's carer movement as well. So there are carer peer workers that really come from that perspective of what's that experience been like caring for someone who's gone through it, having a hard time, what's their role? And a big part of carer peer work is understanding identity and boundaries and, who am I in this? Where am I in this? Because often it's so easy to just constantly think about the person you're caring about. So really, I think it's worth honouring the carer perspective well, because there is such a vital part to play there in everyone's recovery, I think. So day to day on the ground, peer workers are pretty well everywhere now, which is exciting. It hasn't always been that way, but there are so many different contexts that peer workers come into, whether it's in hospitals, in inpatient areas, whether it's in community, whether it's in outreach. So there's quite a few different, I guess, landscapes that peer work comes into, and there's all different nuances that come with each different area. So for me, I've done a lot of my peer work at a mental health wellbeing local, which is really community-based and really collaborative with other disciplines as well. So there is a lot of, I guess, finding mutuality with colleagues, with other disciplines and things like that, and with participants, and really just having this open dialogue together. So really understanding that different places have different flavours, different cultures, and peer work can really respond to all these different things slightly differently, and we all come at it differently as well. And I really like this next point around shared feelings, not just experiences, because I've definitely had that experience. I remember working with a bloke who was really in the midst of relying on alcohol to really process some of his feelings and things like that. And that's not an experience that I've personally had. But what I think I learned from our connection and working together is that we really related to this feeling of anxiety and what that really kind of, how we process that. And so I think he really taught me about, we can share feelings, whether it's not the exact experience, but we really can connect on certain experiences, certain feelings, because we are all humans navigating life and we all experience a lot of the same emotions at different times. So I think that really can give peer workers confidence to connect and learn, even if it doesn't feel like, oh, I know exactly what they've experienced. I think it is important to just bring that connection and neutrality. Does apply to all, I think. Second last point, lived experience or lived expertise. I think having lived experience of all these challenges is at the heart of what we do, and we get this perspective and this empathy that comes from knowing what it feels like or having been through certain experiences. But I think the difference and differentiation with lived expertise, it is a real skill and a muscle to build on how we share our story, how we connect, how we bring our mutuality. Where are our boundaries? What are we comfortable sharing? What are we not comfortable sharing? What's my energy levels like on this in any given day? All of these skills and ability to reflect and look inwards is really a big part of the lived expertise, and that's a skill that is a slow build and takes time. So there is more than just having these experiences. There really is, well, how can I use those to be a peer worker, and how can I do that well? And that's really about partly what cadetship's about, is really building those skills and building that knowledge around um, having the expertise and actually doing that. And I guess I mentioned earlier, there's quite a lot of peer workers in different areas now, which is really exciting. Um, and there are more opportunities for career growth, more than ever before in Victoria. I think I've been around for sort of 5 years now doing peer work, and yeah, there's definitely career growth potential, whether it's advisory work, supporting a team of peer workers down the line, or connecting with other services and things like that. I think there's more opportunities now for that growth and it being a longer term sort of viable option to work in. Thanks for listening to me to talk at you a lot. It feels strange I can't connect and have a back and forth, but this is an information session, so there's some information on peer work.
That was great. Thank you so much, Mike from Wellways. Now we're going to pass over to Emma from Irma, who's going to talk about what the Peer Cadet Program offers. So over to you, Emma. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa, and thanks, Mike. My name's Emma Noski. I use she, her pronouns, and I've been the Peer Cadet lead at Irma for the past 3 years. So coming up to our 4th round, which is really exciting. It's been a really incredible opportunity to be part of. And unfortunately, Kylie couldn't be here today. She was a Peer Cadet in our 1st round and has been working in quality and in our program ever since, behind the scenes and as a mentor as well. But she really wanted to share that she understands how exciting and somewhat overwhelming this opportunity can feel. But at the end of the day, it's an amazing and an invaluable experience from her direct experience of the program. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the program itself and what to expect. So Peer Cadets are employed on a part-time contract, and that's 3 days a week of work over a 10-month period directly with the organisation that they land with. On 3 of those days, 1 day is a study day. So most of you would be attending TAFE on that day for the certificate in mental health peer work. And the other 2 days you'd be in the workplace, so getting the hands-on experience as a peer worker, doing some of the things that Mike spoke about earlier. If you're on a break from TAFE or finish the course early, you might come into work for that study day instead, or there might be some additional training that you can do. So the commitment is 3 days a week in total with your host organisation. Every organisation has a designated peer cadet lead, and most of us are here today. And our role is really to oversee the cadetship in our organisation and represent our organisation in the statewide arena. So we'll be working alongside HR during recruitment. So if you apply to our organisations, we'll probably be meeting you along the way. And then we'll be setting up our own orientation programs, and ongoing support will look a little bit like regular one-on-one check-ins, to see how everything's progressing, and if you require anything, bringing the cadets all together from across our organisations. And we also connect with mentors and the teams to see how things are going and provide any additional layers of support that might be needed. The lead will also assist in setting up consumer or carer lived experience supervision, community of practices, and reflective practice opportunities. And there's usually additional training available as well that we can source, and of course additional information and resources that we share, or you might share with us along the journey. And the Peer Cadet leads across all the organisations meet regularly along with the Career Compass to collaborate and learn from one another and discuss any upcoming opportunities, events, and other ways to make the cadetship the best experience it can be as well. So we all work really closely together. Another key person you'll be working closely with on a day-to-day basis will be your peer mentor. And our mentors are experienced lived and living experience staff members who will work closely alongside you within the team that you're placed in within the organisation. So they'll assist you on a day-to-day basis to provide and identify appropriate tasks for you to do and work towards within your capacity. And the aim is to grow and develop your confidence and skills within the role. And you're not expected to be doing one-on-one work when you first start. It's very much a space of learning and watching and working alongside your mentor and team members to gain the confidence and skills over time. And every Peer Cadet experience will be unique in terms of what the individual organisation offers and what skills and experience you bring as well. Some cadets might be placed with one team for the 10 months, or others may rotate across multiple teams within an organisation. But in essence, you'll be supported to develop knowledge, skills and confidence in peer work. And the relationships and networks that you build over the space of the cadetship will open up and help drive opportunities following on from the cadetship as well. So it's a really great opportunity to get yourself out there, really learn a lot about the sector and what opportunities might be following on from the cadetship. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks so much, Emma. Okay, so next we're going to talk about eligibility for the cadetship, and I'm going to pass over to Jasmine from Uniting. Thank you, Jasmine.
Hi guys, thanks everyone who's gone before, and nice to have you all here, even though I can't see you, but fantastic. I know there's a lot of people listening. So my name's Jasmine McLennan. I use she, her pronouns, and like Mike, I started off in the cadetship, so I have a real passion and soft spot for this program because it really, I guess, started my career in peer work. So I've been in peer working and leadership roles for about 5 years as well. And so I'm going to talk to you about eligibility. So basically, one of the main things is that you must be enrolled in the Certificate for Mental Health Peer Work. So we've had some cadets that have already been in that course and have started the cadetship sort of halfway through. That's fine, but you need to be enrolled. And even if you haven't started yet, we would just need you to be enrolled and going to start in the period of the cadetship. It is a free TAFE course. There are paid options as well that some people utilise for different reasons, but it is largely a free TAFE course. So it's a really great opportunity. In terms of the next factor is meeting the selection criteria defined by the different organisations, and that is going to be different depending on where you go. Some organisations have focuses in particular areas. I know for Uniting, we have a bit of a focus in the AOD space in hearing voices, Speak Hearing Voices program, and also with carers. So different organisations might be looking for slightly different people with different interests and different lived experience, but you don't have to have the exact lived experience for that role necessarily. And obviously having a lived and living experience as a consumer or family carer. So this is a lot about having been through mental health systems yourself and understanding how they work and how they operate and how, what things worked for you, what things didn't. It's also, so that's for a consumer or a carer. It's also obviously about having been through, a challenging time yourself and having had a path to recovery, which of course is ongoing. So we do need people to be, at a good place in their recovery and able to sort of be in the workforce and share their lived experience comfortably. But we're going to talk a bit more about that, I think, in the next slide or coming up. But yeah, they're really just the three main points that make you eligible for this program.
Sorry, my unmute button was playing up. Thank you so much, Jasmine. That's, super helpful to know. We're going to now pass over to Ruth from EDV, who's going to talk to us about just some more things. So not just the eligibility for the program, but stuff that's maybe a bit more sitting inside you personal in terms of being ready for undertaking a cadetship. Thank you very much, Ruth.
Sure, thank you, and hello to everyone and welcome. So just to follow on, firstly, I should introduce myself. My name is Ruth Green and my pronouns are she, her, and EDV stands for Eating Disorders Victoria. So in this section, these are really things just for you to think about in the coming weeks and during your application process. So there's no need to answer any of these reflective questions that might come up now. These are purely for you to think about. So we have touched on the workload and the study and work placement that you'll be completing during the cadetship. So what I've learned over the few years that I've been involved in the cadetship is for candidates to really map out your week and really think about it before you apply as to your commute time, your study time, your other obligations, all the other things that are going on in your life. You may need to connect with the TAFEs directly and just sort of check in about the workload that is expected of you, because they may differ. Well, they have, in my experience, between each TAFE that our cadets are connected to. So please do your research, because, your time is precious and we really, value your time. So you want to do as much research around the TAFE space as you can before the application as well. So just thinking about this 10-month commitment as well, it's 3 days. Think ahead, really think about, what are your needs in this space? Do you have the time to do it? Are you looking for something shorter? Are you looking for something longer? This is quite a set contract. So have a think about that. Is that going to suit you? Of course, we also need to think about the financial aspect of being, studying and working. And are you in a position to sustain yourself financially on those 3 days? I can say all of the cadets I've had at EDV have also needed another paid role as well as the cadetship. So that might be a consideration for you as well. On a really practical level, thinking about, it's cliche, but location. Is the place that you're applying to, is that something that you can get to easily? I know sometimes we've had people that have sort of done a rehearsal run to see, because of their other obligations, how long is it going to take me to get to work and how long do I have to go home? Like just sort of thinking and calculating how many hours will I need to spend in the commute. And that's not to say we've had some really successful cadetships at EDV, because ours is actually on site for 2 days and we're in Collingwood. I've had 2 people that have travelled from rural Victoria, like up to 2 hours commute per day that they were working. That's getting here and returning home. But it has actually worked for them because they knew that they would have the time on the train and they could do work then. So for some people that works, but for others it won't. So have a real sort of think about this. Is that something that you can do, thinking about your commute? The other thing to think about is just where you're at personally. Are you in a space, because the cadetship, and my colleagues talked about this beautifully, it really demands a growth mindset, and it also demands a reflective mindset. Is that where you are now? And it's okay if you're not. It might be something that you want to think about down the track, but the cadetship is very much thinking, am I in a space where I'm in this reflective mindset, but I'm also in a space where I want to support others? Are you open and comfortable to accept training and feedback? Are you in a space that, even being in a designated role, really announces to the world about your experience as well? So thinking about peer work and having that on your resume sort of announces to the world that you do have lived experience as well. I'll sort of just touch on the benefits as well. We have talked about them. One of the amazing benefits of entering the cadetship across all these organisations is just the scaffolding that you get. It's such an amazing team, all these leads to be part of. All the organisations really offer something different. And what I was reflecting on during the week, thinking about this, is that you can really accelerate your learning quite quickly within a cadetship, but also in a safe way as well. So you will get a lot of experience, but it's also a safe way to do this. Another huge benefit, even as I logged on today, and to see my teammates here, I automatically just went, oh, great, you know, I'm in this space with my team, and that's such a lovely thing for me to come to work. So that's something that I really appreciate. And my hope for you is with the cadetship that you really want to be part of a team. And that is definitely an intrinsic benefit of that, which also sort of links back to what you need to bring to the cadetship as well, which is a really sense of, I'm a team player. You know, we're doing a lot of reflective work within ourselves, and I would describe that, the work we do here, that sort of first part, the induction, is very much sharing with intention, reflecting on our story. But then there comes a time where we kind of need to look up and out to the community who we're connecting with, but always also sideways with our teammates as well. Thanks, Jacinta.
Yeah.
So there is a big focus, and we have touched on this, but again, something for you to sort of take away with you today, just thinking about, am I in a place where I can share with intention? So we do a lot of work around that in the cadetship, and that is something that you need to think about is, am I in a state of willingness? You don't necessarily need to know how to do it, but do I have that sense of willingness to learn how to share safely? Mike touched on this, the idea of peer work. Sometimes we're sort of leaning into a space and sort of sharing, but sometimes it's all that, also that space. Can I hold back, and can I sort of hold the need to be the rescue, to rescue others, or to centre myself in others' experience as well? So just thinking about that, where you're at with all these sort of reflections. I don't think we can talk enough about a growth mindset. And I think this is something that we were talking about this morning with our team. And I think this is at every level, no matter what level you are in lived experience, is always coming into the space with, what am I going to learn today? And also at the same time, can I sit with a bit of discomfort in this work as well? This is also going to be part of it. And when I'm talking about discomfort, I'm not talking about distress. And that is something in the cadetship that, we will help you identify. But there are points of connection with people in the work that will give you a sense of unease at times. But then it's, the work that we do is how do we care for ourselves? How do we find that point of connection, which is within the safety of our boundaries, but also how do we recover? How do we nurture ourselves? And how do we look after each other? Which was all those things that we've been talking about today, all the scaffolding of the cadetship will really help you think about that. And finally, perhaps what I'll talk about is just thinking about you and where you're at in your life at the moment, and thinking about this concept within intentional peer support, which you'll hear lots about as well, is what am I moving towards? And thinking today after this information session, just give yourself time to reflect, and you as a person, what am I moving towards? And is it the cadetship? And it's okay if it isn't as well. It might be something that you've heard today that you think, actually, that's something I want to move towards as well. But thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Yeah, really important stuff there. So thank you for speaking to that so well for all of us. Now we're going to move into coming towards the end of our presentation, which is talking about the application process. So once you've considered all the things that we've spoken about today, how do you actually apply for a cadetship? So I'm going to now pass over to Naomi from EACH, who is going to talk us through the process.
Hi everyone. Apologies if my eyes have been darting around the screen trying to listen to everybody but also write things in the chat. It's great to have so many of you online and asking such valuable questions as well. My name is Naomi. I work at EACH and I use she, her pronouns as well. And essentially just going to walk you through slightly what you can expect when it comes to the actual application process for the cadetship. So as mentioned, obviously there's a number of us here from different organisations offering this program. So you can absolutely submit your application to as many of the organisations that you would like. I would probably strongly suggest that you have a little bit of a look at where you live and also where the organisations that are involved in the cadetship reside, because that will play a part in terms of where your placement locations might be, and you might need to factor in things around travel and accessibility, but also as well looking at what our programs are organisationally and which ones kind of align mostly with yourself around your areas of interest or your particular lived and living experience journey. The host organisation, so all of us here, will be popping up our advertisements between tomorrow, so the 23rd of April, and they will all go live. So they'll all be up online before the 1st of May. So just kind of being mindful of that and using the website that's listed there above, the Career Compass page. There will be probably a slight variation in when each of our ads will drop. They're not all coming out exactly on the same day. So just kind of keep your eyes peeled and have a bit of a look, and kind of probably keep checking in, particularly if you've got your eyes on a certain organisation that you would preference. And essentially, that's probably the most centralised way for you to find all of our job ads, but you can also, of course, go to each organisation's individual website and their careers pages, because the ads will be listed there too. But I'd probably say go to the Career Compass page because it just sort of streamlines everything for the recruitment process. For just kind of keeping in mind, because we do have a lot of interest in this program, all of us will be doing our own shortlisting behind the scenes. So don't get too stressed if you haven't heard from us immediately on the day that the ad itself is closing. And you might even during the course of there being a recruitment stage, you might get a touch point from somebody, but please know that we are just going through all of the applications and just determining who we want to reach out to. And essentially our shortlisted candidates will be contacted by phone to have a bit of a discussion about your application, and we will sort of talk with you about whether or not we'll get to the point of offering you an interview, and that would be the next step. And a new thing that we've introduced this year, just across all of us as an different organisations, is that you may be asked to give your consent verbally over the phone when we reach out to you about sharing just some basic information about yourself, your phone number and your name, just to sort of help us organisationally around the interview and recruitment process. It would basically just help us to know who's applying for the roles and things like that. So if that question comes up when we speak to you on the phone, just have a think about whether you feel comfortable sharing those details with the person that's called you. It's completely up to you whether you choose to say yes or no to that. I think that's most of the things about the application process. I know each organisation will do things slightly differently, and it's just something to sort of think about in terms of, where you would like to also work. And I guess holding that in mind when it comes to application processes, we're also very conscious of the fact that as much as we're interviewing you, it's also an opportunity for you to ask questions of us as an organisation to see if we feel like the right fit for you as an employee. So they're things to keep in mind, but we're really excited to hear from those of you that feel like this is the right path for you and reading your applications as they come in.
Yeah, thank you, Naomi. That was great. Yes, so as Naomi mentioned, positions will start to be advertised from tomorrow with the different organisations. So they will be available on the Peer Cadet webpage with Lex. So with that email, that web address that was in there, and they will be open up until May. So they usually open up for about 2 weeks. So yeah, it gives you a bit of time to consider everything. And also, and I did notice there in the chat as well, really good point from Lauren about actually look into the organisation you're applying to. Just, have a look at their values, look at, the types of peer work opportunities that are available. Have a little think about that and think where it's going to be a good fit for you. That brings us to the end of our session today. So thank you everybody for taking part, all our Peer Cadet leads who have done an amazing job in presenting, sharing information with everybody here today. Thank you for everyone in the chat as well. We've got a little QR code there, so look, if you are so inclined, we'd love some feedback. If you could scan that one, and it's just a quick sort of 30-second, 1-minute survey there to get a little bit of feedback from you. So yeah, but look, thank you everybody. We will wrap up. Hope everybody has a lovely Wednesday, and we'll look forward to hopefully receiving applications from many of you that have been here today. Great, thank you, and bye-bye.